Hi, welcome to a episode of Tom's Geeky Garage. Today I'm gonna try to do something which, at first, I thought was an original idea, and then I realized it's been done before. Pretty much done before, pretty perfectly. So this is it's kind of not as exciting as I thought it would be. But so the idea is I remember seeing these guys and these little micro figures. And if you remember back in the show a few years ago, we made micro-sized Kenner figures. And that whole idea for the Kenner figure spawned from me seeing these Transformers. I thought, oh, these Transformers are real tiny. It would be so cool to make Ghostbuster packaging really tiny and make it look like the original, blah, blah, blah. And we did that. And it came out pretty neat, and everyone was really happy with the project. But recently, I was like trying to think of new shows and things to do for a new line of shows here. And we do have some things coming up. We have a show that's been filmed already of us sculpting the minor ghost from the Ghostbuster Afterlife trailer. Like, we did a sculpting and a statue of that. We are also working on a project with Jason over at Ghostbuster News, doing some custom Fright feature heads for him, which will be also a show later on. But other than that, I was like, oh, I need some new shows. And so the idea I thought would be, coming back to this Transformer idea, I've seen these come through my feed on Facebook again. Somebody had posted a picture of them, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can mix the Micromachine project that I had of the Micromachine Ghostbusters, and I wonder if I could make this Optimus Prime that actually transforms at this scale. So he would be a Micromachine scale and build, but he would still transform. So it'd be like a little Transformer Micromachine hybrid, right? Well, I thought of the idea and kind of started the project, and then after I started it, about 10 minutes into the project, I decided to go look for this photo so I could shoot this little bit of video for you. And while doing that, I came across this where somebody shows that they have already kind of made one. Now, this is very tiny. I don't know if this is Micromachine scale here. It's definitely much bigger than this. By a little bit, at least. As you can see, the size of his thumb, the car itself is, about the size of a thumb, it's still tiny. I think ours will be just a scale smaller than this. But, like I said, like, once I seen this already being made, it's like, kind of like, do I still need to do this? Like, what's the point if somebody else has already done it? And this is also done by, like, an actual toy company. But I said, what the heck, I've already started. If we've already started, let's just go ahead and finish what we started. Like I said, I'd already started this, and I actually recorded me building this, which I'll play after I stop talking. But this is where I'm at. These are the wheels from our Micromachine Highway Haunter and our Micromachine Ecto 1 we did last season, I believe. So this car will be the same scale as those original Ghostbuster ones. And I guess the reason I came up to this idea is because the Highway Haunter that I did, it was kind of a transformer. It was the little Volkswagen, and it transformed into the Prairie Mantis. And so I was like, well, if I could do it with that, I could definitely do it with Optimus Prime. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make this Micromachine size transforming Optimus Prime. Yes, it's already been done by Hasbro or Kenner or whoever has the licensing for that. I think Hasbro. But we're going to do it anyways, just for content reasons. And I kind of just would like to try it to see if I can get it to work this small. Because it's a lot of moving parts for something this small. And I just recently did the Ghost Trap, the Kenner Micro Ghost Trap that actually worked. And it had a lot of little small moving parts. And that kind of like made me want to try something a little more advanced. So this is it. So hope you like watching, and we're going to do this. So let's do it. Alright. So here we are with kind of the start of the Optimus. So we've got the basic shape built out at first. We just blocked it out with some basic shapes. And now we're going to take those basic shapes and we are going to start building like the mechanisms things to make it actually like transform. And what I like to do, which you've probably seen if you watched the mini Kenner trap video I did just a few videos ago where I made that Kenner trap actually function. I like to start with really generic geometry and just make sure that all the hinges and stuff work, and then I'll go back in and detail this to make it look like whatever it needs to look like. So it's always about testing the functionality first before you actually make everything look pretty, you know what I mean? It's like you gotta do your sketch before you do the detail, you know? So what I've got going on here, let's group some of this stuff together real quick. So we got the leg, we got some tubes which are part of that leg, and then this is also part of that leg. And there is a tube down here which is also part of that leg, which is the center one. Okay, and then I'm gonna make a new color here just to define the foot here. So we got the foot, these two guys, part of the feet. There we are. Okay, that's mainly just for you guys to see. Oh, and we got some parts here that need to be red. Okay, here we go. That's just so we can define the different sections and pieces. So what we have is actually, you know what? Let's make all this apparent of this, and then also make this apparent to that. Okay. I'm gonna save it. Okay. So what we have, I decided to start out with the legs, and like I said, we start out with base rough geometry, and we make sure that everything works. Okay. Hold on. Let's do that. Okay. So what I have is in the Transformer, which, where is he at? No. I know I have a picture of that guy. Here we go. So what happens is right here in his hip, there's wheels, and there's a drive shaft that drives the wheels. But that drive shaft also is the hinges for the legs, so the legs can flip up behind him like this. So it's one hinge right here. So that's what we kind of got going here. So yeah, it's going to rotate down like this, right? And you can see he's got a foot there, and the foot itself is also hinged, but the foot will come up kind of like this. Now in the original, they built this to where the foot was hinged on the back, so when it would fold up, it would be perfectly flat with this back piece, so it just continue on with this shape here. And that worked because their wheels were small enough to where when the wheels were in the down position, they wouldn't hit the ground. But doing this in a Micro Machine format, the wheels are kind of like, obviously, like they're huge. They're kind of like bigger than they should be. And if I made this feet hinge the way they were supposed to, the wheels would be touching the ground when he was trying to stand. And if you look at that, if we fold this guy up, down like, oh wait, the wheels are not connected. Well, either way, hold on a second. Actually, maybe it's just easier for me to rotate the camera. There we are, just to get an idea. You can see the build right now. If it sits on the ground, the wheel is not going to touch the ground. It's all going to be just foot, right? And that was the goal here. So anyhow, so I think this is going to do it for the leg mechanisms. As far as the hinges go, there's just a hinge here for the ankle and a hinge here for the hips. And basically for the hips, there'll be one pin, which will be the drive shaft, which will make the wheels turn, and it will also let the hips slide. And you can see here how that's kind of situated. Now there will be two of these. This will be all symmetrical. So let's just put it so you can see that. See, so it'll be like this, right? And it'll be one pin that goes through the whole center
to move all these pieces here. And for the back wheels, we will have, for the back wheels, we're going to have, let's see, we're going to have small pins. There will be a single pin for this wheel, a single pin for this wheel, and then a pin that goes through the ankle in the wheel here, and one other pin for the ankle in the wheel here. That way each leg is separate. So they will be two separate pieces. And like I said, once we get this test printed, make sure that all the transforming pieces are working, we will come through and we will detail these pieces. That'll be a later step before we do a final print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out this sections as they are now, make sure that they work. If they work, we'll move on to the part where we'll start building all the hinges for the arm mechanism. So there will be a hinge here that will pivot this arm out. This piece will come out, and these are like the forearms here. These will have to be on a hinge that swivels and rotates. So it's kind of a special joint that will be here, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. And then we'll eventually, very last step, we'll work on the head swivel, which is up here, and that will have the head on it, which will hide in a hollowed out area inside the cab here. So yeah, so that's where we're at. We're going to print this out and test it. If it works, we're going to move forward. If it doesn't work, we're going to work it a little bit. So let's get started. Alright, so we were able to 3D print and test out the basic leg mechanism here, and it fit pretty good, except for this diameter of this wheel and a lot of these hubs I made a little bit too big, so the pin was really loose, and I want it to fit a little tighter. So you can see this was the original diameter here, and then I added an insert that kind of just shrunk it down about, I don't know, like half a millimeter or something like that. So now when I put the pin in, it should fit really snug and tight. So since we've got that adjustment finished, we've went in and started adding the detail for the leg, at least, because the legs are functional now. So you can see here the detail we've added in on the legs, just making it look a little more like Optimus's legs. And then we also did the detail on some of the feet. It's not exactly the same, but gets the idea across. And then we added a little tank here and little fender guards and things like that. So he will be, let's actually start with the symmetry in this and see what this looks like together. So there's what it'll kind of look like. And I could take this in so these things fit tighter together. Maybe I'll do that. But so yeah, so I think the legs are pretty much done. So now we're going to move on to the arms and the head. Now we got the legs finished. I went ahead and moved on to the arms. Here you can see the model in the truck position, but the arms are pretty much like they were on the original. They have a swivel point here at the shoulder that swivels the shoulders out, and then the arm and the elbow is here. So I'll show you that moving around. So the so here's the yeah. So the arm would come out this way, and then the shoulder will pivot out this way, right? And the elbow here is a ball and socket joint. So basically it allows this section of the arm to swivel and lower, so you can lower it and turn it and swivel it and all that. So that's a free range of motion. So that should work pretty good for that. So now that we have the arm and the legs and the legs detailed here, now we can move on to the very last mechanism, which is the head, which I've already got a starting block here, which the head will eventually flip over like this. So the head will be on the back side, and it will hide down inside the body, and then it will flip over and snap in this position. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back.
Alright, so now we've got to the point where I've got pretty much all the parts modeled. As you can see, we got the head, we have the head flap that will flip backwards, we have the arms, legs, and sorry if you actually hear some noise in the background. My daughter's watching some baby cartoon. Sorry about that. Anyways, so now what I'm doing is I'm basically taking all the parts and I'm putting them into a project for the printer. So it's basically about selecting each part from this and coming over into another project and lining things up so they can go onto the printer properly. So you can see already we have the main body chest piece. We have the legs, which now I have connected the legs together. Instead of two different legs, I've actually made them one part because there's really no reason to have them separated at this scale. We have part of the arms I just dropped in, and we have the head, which, as you can see, the head here is not modeled really amazingly, and that's because at this scale, at Micromachine scale, this is like the size of a pinhead, so it's not, you know, we're not going to be able to retain a lot of detail anyways, so it just needs to look somewhat the same. So we're going to continue to add in these parts. So I'm just going through my project, and I'm going down my list of parts. So this is an arm, and we're just copying and pasting it. And the real trick to... Hold on, let me turn this down. She don't need to hear that. She don't know what they're saying. The real trick to this is understanding how your printer works and the best orientation to put parts so they print well. So what you want to look at is any place where there's like a lot of detail, you want that stuff kind of facing up. So if, like this front face of this truck, if I had this facing downward, the bottom side's where all the supports are going to be, right? So it's going to put printing supports. And if you did on the front, you'd have like all these little imperfections all over that detail that you'd have to clean up later. So what you do is you try to look at the part and you think of the part, the section of the part that's not going to be seen, or it's not as important. So like this back side would have been probably a good one because that's all going to be hidden. You're not going to see it. I'm going with the bottom, just because it's the bottom, and that's technically what you usually do. So if you were doing like an action figure standing up, you'd have him actually standing up. But so I'm making sure that most of the bottoms of the pieces are facing downward. And then actually when I bring it in here, I'm also adding some symmetry so I can make two of the parts. So I'm making the left and right at the same time. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. And okay. So now we have the head, the arms. The arms are two pieces. There's this piece and then this piece. Legs are now one piece, so we still need the feet. The shoulder joints. So let's copy those. The shoulders. Bring those in. So like this piece, we'll look at it and we'll go, okay. It's probably going to be best to have this side facing down, because this is the... Wait. This is the outside. This is the outside, I think. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, so this is the outside. So this would be technically the back side. So when it's in truck form, it's... Oh my goodness, really? So this is the truck form. This will be hidden behind the flap for the head. And then when it's opened up in robot form, it's going to be the back side. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that we put this side down. So we'll rotate this side down. And we'll stick it, rotate this way just so it fits on the table. And we'll just stick it somewhere next to the side here. Down here. So we can print with all this other stuff. Alright. So this is just, like I said, getting it ready for printing. I'm going to actually just pull it up I'll pull it up to the front here and have it print up here with this stuff. And then we're going to do the symmetry for that too. So we want 2 of those, so we get doop. And now we have 2 of those. Make sure nothing's touching, make sure everything's separated. It's okay if it's really cluttered in here tight. I can go tighter because the printer can handle that without screwing up, but might as well just give it a little breathing room. Okay, shoulder and the feet. So here now we can do the feet. So we're going to drop those bad boys in here. The feet. Like I said, for this, the foot, obviously the best way is the foot down because we do have some and then we're going to add the symmetry because we need 2 feet. Alright. And make sure that they're at the proper height as everything else. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to put supports. So it's all good. Just pull those in tight into the grouping. So that looks like almost all the parts except for the wheels. And we need 6 of those, so we'll copy this one wheel. Oh no! Hold on, baby. Let me just drop in these wheels, and then we'll get you a bottle, okay? Okay, hold on. Let me get this wheel in here. Rotate the bad boy the proper way, which is that's this way. Oh goodness, I messed that all up. There we go, 90 degrees, facing upwards. Remember the bottom or the back sides are always facing down. That way the printer puts the supports on the ugly side of the part, I guess is the way to look at it. Yeah, so. And we need, we're going to need 6 of these, so we'll just copy this guy a few times. Like so. And we'll put all these in a group and then put that group in this symmetry so it is doubled up. There we go. Wowzers, that's a lot of parts. Okay, so here we are. This is all our parts for our Optimus Micromachine Transformer. As you can see, the parts consist of 2 feet, 1 set of legs, the shoulders, the head, arm part 1, which is the main part of the arm, and then this little piece. And what this little piece is, it's kind of a little sandwich joint with a ball hinge that connects to the shoulder. So you put the ball right here into this little hinge in the arm, and then you glue this cap on the back side, and it sandwiches all that and makes a ball and socket joint. So we got that ball and socket joint. We got the main body, which connects all the arms and legs to, and the wheels. So now that we got all this laid out on one platform, we can send this over to the printer and get our parts and start to assemble. Came out looking pretty nice, I think. So he transforms this way. His legs swing up. His feet swivel out. Swivel his arms out. Hard to get hold of. And then his head flips over. Back in truck mode. Head flips over. Arms up. Shoulders back. Arms in, legs up, feet down, and we're back in the truck mode. Here's him next to our Ecto, our transforming highway haunter. Let's do it one more time. We'll show you again. Legs up, feet out, arm one, arm two, and flip the head over. I think it came out pretty nice considering how small it is. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get it to actually work. And he has the swivel arms like the original, so you can pose him somewhat. Trying to do this without my hands in the way, it's kind of difficult.